Hi, it's Lynne with Soft Squares. I am dubbing over, but we're going to be looking at the Daydream Quilt, which is a quilt that is a block of the month through Annie's Kit Clubs. I have a whole series on it. Let me show you how I finished it, so stick around. All right, so this is the pattern that I'm working on. It is called Daydream. It's by Annie's Kit Club. The fabric used in it is Silver Jubilee, and so you might see it listed either way, but I have a whole video series on this. I started it last year, and I got to probably October, November of last year, and I had to put it aside because things got super busy. And anyway, I'm now picking this up. So there's 12 blocks that are 16 inches. This is what the finished block is supposed to look like. Finished quilt, sorry. And right now I've got all my pieces up on the wall in the order that the pattern has it, although you could mix it up. But there's a lot of these sashings. So they're basically 1.5-inch strips and a cornerstone. And we're going to just put those between all the blocks. And I'm going to play with this, and you can see how I haven't trimmed this one yet. But anyway, you can see how it all comes together. And I'm going to put this in fast forward and give you some music so you don't have to listen to me ramble on and try to figure out exactly what I'm saying. But technology, let me tell you, I don't know what the problem is, and I don't have a way to check it because, anyway, I have to take it apart to play it, and that problem is putting it back together, and then I wouldn't know if it's right. So anyway, here we go. But look how cool this looks. We've got the center block completely framed, and I am so excited because we're getting so close to being done. Of course, I have all this other stuff on the wall. I'm going to just be going over top of it, so sorry, you have to look at it that way. But like I said, I'm going to put all of this together, and I'm actually going to make this in rows. So I'm going to lay everything up, but then I'm going to go row by row, including the row of the sashing, and just put it together like a normal quilt. You don't have to do fancy seams or anything. You just want to match it up. Now, the easy part about this quilt is each of the cornerstones are like a spot where you can line things up. And I'm talking about how I'm going to do by row. And there's, what did I say, 4 rows? Yeah, 4 rows of 3. That makes 12. Hello. And, and you can only see the middle 2 rows right there. I will do some panning of the camera so you can see more of it. But right now I'm just playing on the board, and I didn't expect it to be quite so zoomed in, to be honest. I thought you would see more of it. All right, so what I'm going to do here is just show you how I trimmed up the little blocks. They're 16.5-inch are the blocks that the pattern calls for. Mine ended up being 16. I'm close enough, right? So I'm just making all my sashing pieces 16. And right now they're just rough cuts. And so I'm going to even them up. And some of them I had to kind of work into their spot. And you can see this might be one of them where I'm short the blue on the right side, but it will get eased into the seam, and it will work. Actually, that particular one cut off okay. There are some that are like that, but that's the whole thing on the sashing. So there's not a separate video on it. So hopefully this video is helpful. I know some of you have been doing this quilt or have done it because I started it so long ago. And I appreciate you guys sharing with me your quilts. Anyway, you guys can always go to my Facebook group and post pictures there. That's kind of new, but it is Soft Squares Quilting with Lynne, and that is on Facebook, and you can actually post pictures. And I would love for you to show your pictures of whatever you're working on, but this quilt in particular, I know there have been people that have been making the quilt with their own fabric, so they have completely different colors. They just have the pattern. And that was a really fun way to look at this. I'm just so used to looking at this in the blue colorway. You know, this actually came together really fast. I did the sashing, I'll be honest, a couple months ago, and then things got really crazy. If you don't know, I've been doing Advent boxes, and that just took over my life. So this quilt got put on the side. There's one more quilt I hope to wrap up this year, and that is the wildflower quilt that Reb's Fab Stash was doing in their monthly subscription box. It was a block of the month, and my sashing and borders need to be done on that one as well. So my goal is to wrap these up before the end of the year, and then I won't have any big projects that I'm in the middle of. This one has been hanging over my head for a long time, and I don't know if you guys have seen this in other videos, but I have been keeping these blocks stacked up on my board, kind of out of sight, so like directly where you see the Christmassy thing on the wall, right below that. So it's usually out of frame, but I have it right there to remind me that I need to work on it. And sometimes you get to a point where you've seen it enough, you don't see it anymore. Trust me, I was still seeing it, but the point is it's done, and it's not hanging out as a stack on my wall anymore. Okay, so I'm getting everything where I need to be, and I was thinking of laying this out where I just do the rows together just like this, and then go around with the outside sashing and add it kind of like a border. But then I changed my mind, and I decided to go ahead and put the whole row out. So you'll see in a minute on the left side, you're going to see the cornerstone and the sashing. I will put those up and then just pick those up as one long row. And then that made it even easier to come together. I don't know why I was thinking I would do it the other way. Really, I don't think there's any right or wrong way. Do it however you want, whatever works for you. But I liked having just 4 big rows. Actually, I take it back. There are 9 rows, because there's 4 rows of blocks, 5 rows of sashing, and each one of those were considered a row as I was putting them together. But then they were done, and then I had the center of the quilt, which I'm going to let you watch fast forward as I play with that. And I think this is a good place to stop and just fast forward. So enjoy. Oh, let's look at the whole quilt. Well, kind of, sort of. I actually, believe it or not, I do get to talk at the end of this video, so you will hear me come back on. I've got my pattern. It looks almost like it. I still have to do the border, but I've got the blocks in the right order. And now we're going to play with border fabric. But look at all these patterns. Look at all the different blocks. I'm keeping them forever. Anyway, they send a lot of fabric with each month, so you have enough to cut your stuff out. And if you need to, like if you make a mistake, there's some extra. So every month I've been keeping my extra pieces, and I've actually been keeping them in the little baggies for the month. And I have a lot of extra pieces, and I have a lot of big pieces because I'm very frugal with how I cut fabric. So this fabric right here is what's used on the border, but they did send the border fabric out. And so this is not actually intended for the border, but it's the same swatch of what will be used. And in the end, I actually ended up cutting that one and using it to add to, because I wanted to conserve and save as much of the big piece. So what I'm doing is I'm holding the fabric that came for the border, and the striped fabric is for the binding. So I have got everything I need. I've got these two big pieces, and in the end I was able to salvage most of that second big piece because I used some of my scraps. I am done with this quilt. It has its border on, and it is pretty much floor to ceiling on my wall. My wall is not quite standard height, but for this room it is floor to ceiling. And so sorry, I am done. I'm going to take this to the quilter. We won't see it until next year, but I will do a show and tell with all the quilts from the end of this year that were not already in one, and this will be included in that. But this is the Daydream quilt, and if you want to know how I made each of the blocks and follow along with me, there is a whole video series on that. It's a Daydream quilt, and the fabric is Silver Jubilee. It is a kit through Annie's Kit Club. There are links below if it's something you want to look into. They have a whole bunch of different kits. And if you've been watching my Advent box opening videos, the quilt that's behind me in that is actually called Holly Jolly. It's a Christmas sampler, also through Annie's Kits. And I got that from the same place. But that one's finished. I did that one last year. This one I took a break from. I started them at the same time though. Anyway, I'm pretty proud of this. I did a lot of blocks I've never done before, learned a lot of new things. The blocks themselves are 16 inches. The finished size is 67.5 by 86.5. Thanks for hanging out with me while I finish this quilt. Let me know what you think about this. Again, there's a whole video series if you're just catching this for the first time. Thanks for hanging out with me. Have a good day.